Hi, this is Ryan from X Cannabis. Today is the 31st of August, and I have pretty disturbing news for me and for other people in pain. So I had a car accident in 2013, and I ended up getting rebuilt with titanium. My entire ankle is titanium all the way around. I've got 8 titanium screws holding it in the joint, and then I've got a titanium rod that goes up my leg and multiple other titanium screws to hold that rod in, and my shoulder's been rebuilt, and I've got a ton of fiber wire and stuff holding it together, and I am in a ton of pain. And instead of taking these, which I've been getting, for 3 years, I mean, I have a serious issue with pain, and the doctors know it. I've been to 6 doctors because we moved around, and every doctor has no problem prescribing me opioids, seeing my X-rays, and they're pretty regulated now. They're pretty restricted, especially here in Maine. They really came down on it, and so I'm a pretty disturbed activist right now, willing to fight this. I fought and defeated stupid laws in the past. Like in Springville, Utah, I fought a free speech law. Basically, I couldn't protest without a permit there, and so I went after them with the lawyer, and they decided to avoid a court case, and they, nullified their law requiring a permit for free speech for protesting in Springville, Utah. I'll go after them again on this one. Kratom has saved me from an opioid addiction. And I've got videos on X Cannabis. You can see that I've replaced uh, opioids with cannabis. That was what I first did when I got out of the hospital. We went to Idaho to recover, and we went to my mother-in-law's house. And Idaho has very strict regulations against cannabis. And I've got 4 kids, so I avoided cannabis as much as possible. I had some from California when I came, but instead of sticking around there and dealing with their stupid laws, I didn't have it in me to fight them at that point. So I moved to Maine and got my script. I got my cannabis script here, so that I wasn't putting my family at risk or anything like that. So I could have cannabis and be in the legal grounds of doing so. Even though I think cannabis laws are stupid, medical or otherwise, I think having a permit is one of the stupidest things ever. But right here, and you can see on Clovis Star and stuff, in some of my newspapers, some of my old print newspapers, you can see where I was advertising it. I have sent this to veterans who have, war wounds and orthopedic problems like I've got. I've sent it to friends with migraine headaches. I've always had acute uh, cluster headaches all my life. I've had cluster headaches, and they've did a X-ray, MRI on my brain, and my vascular situation is that I have a constricted blood vessel in my vein, and when there's blood pressure, it creates a lot of backup, and the blood pressure causes me pain, and so I've always had headaches, and I use cannabis for that. Cannabis worked pretty well for that, but cannabis didn't touch my pain. Cannabis, I mean, it's great. Cannabis is awesome. Indica, I recommend for pain and inflammation. It definitely helps. The CBDs and stuff help for sure. And then just feeling that euphoric feeling of the THC, that's definitely good. I recommend that. But they're making kratom a Schedule 1. That is one of the most ridiculous things I've ever saw in my life. I'm going to go petition Governor Page here. Saying Governor LePage, that is. Um, and yeah, I think he's a reasonable dude. People have asked me, well, why do you support Governor LePage? Look at what he's done for this state. He's a reasonable dude. We have one of the lowest unemployment rates in the country in this state. And before he became governor, it wasn't that way. It was a lot higher. So I think being a reasonable man, and he says some crazy things sometimes, but I think that being a reasonable man, he could see the benefit of kratom, and he wants to knock out this opioid issue, with problems with drug dealers and street drugs and stuff like that. Kratom is a serious contender for opiates, and it doesn't have an addiction factor. You can't be addicted to kratom. I don't know of anybody who has been. I don't think there's any study that says you can be. Yeah, maybe there's a habit forming quality to it, but I don't think you can get those withdrawals like you do from opiates. And I know those withdrawals. They're terrible. They're absolutely terrible. My prescription is for Dilaudid, and it's a pretty powerful opiate. And I avoid it by using Kratom. And I have some here. I have some, down in the islands when I go visit the islands, and whatever. I think that Kratom is, I don't know what I will do without it. I mean, seriously, I'd have to go back to opioids. I'd have to, get these prescriptions that I can get, and I can get them. I've never had a problem. I've still got some. This is 3 years after my accident. They're still giving me these because I still hurt really bad. They can see that. I mean, my other alternative, if I don't have Kratom, my other alternative is an amputation because I can't go back to opiates. I hate opiates. They'll kill me. They'll kill me in a way that is emotionally, numbing, and in a way that I can't deal with. I can't do it, and I won't do it. I sometimes I take a pill or two, and I keep them with me for those times where I have falls. I'm a fall hazard. I've fallen several times just walking down the street. When my ankle seizes up, and I fall flat on my face. And then I end up with a opiate in my that I have in my pocket, and I end up taking it. But it is a serious need for me to deal with this pain. Otherwise, I'm a crabby mess, and I can't get out of bed. The pain is so bad, and the inflammation is so bad that walking is damn near impossible. And with Kratom, it will knock that pain down a couple levels so I can at least deal with it. It still hurts, but I can at least deal with it. And they're going to put it on a Schedule 1, and force people into prescription drugs. And this must be backed by the pharmaceutical companies. There's no doubt. If this isn't backed by the pharmaceutical companies, I don't know what is. This has to be something like what they did with marijuana. There has to be corporate interest in this because it's such an amazing God-given drug. I mean, a God-given medicine. I wouldn't even call it a drug. It's a God-given medicine. It's a God-given plant. It's an herb. It's not a pharmaceutical grade, having massive side effects type of thing. It's a very benign and very useful and very powerful medicine. And the lack of addiction and the lack of side effects makes it amazing. This is a miracle drug, just like cannabis is. And so, if I have any way, whether I need to sell, a property, whether I need to sell a toy, whether I need to, whatever it is, I need to do to come up with some money to fight this legally, I'm going to do that. There's the American Kratom Association. The founder is saying that she's probably going to take this to court. Susan Ashe is her name. And I'm backing her. If there's any way that I can come up with some money, whatever it is. If I have to sell my left testicle to science, I don't really care at this point. Because it means I either lose my leg or go back to opiates. And I don't want to do either, I depend on Kratom, and I know a lot of other people that do too. We used to sell it at our vape store. It was the main reason why I started a vape store. There was two reasons why I started my vape store. One, I wanted to help out my mother-in-law because she hates her retail job or her convenience store job. She hates it, and she's always hated it, but she works it. And she's good at retail, so I was going to get her involved in a store that she could run and manage by herself and make a lot more money. And then I was going to, give people the option of having Kratom and CBD hemp oil. And that's what I was selling in Pocatello, Idaho, where I've protested for years. I mean, I've been protesting in Idaho since 2008. No, 2007, I guess. No, 2006. I've been going out demonstrating against cannabis laws in Idaho since 2006 and in Utah since 1994, But I brought the idea of CBD cannabis and Kratom to Pocatello, and I believed in it so much that I invested everything I had. I had $56,000. I put every penny of it in there, into that store. And I made a newspaper so that people had education, so it wasn't such a mystery, so they could understand what it is. And I wrote articles about Kratom, and I wrote articles about cannabis, and I wanted people to be informed. And, the store didn't work out because the mother-in-law didn't want to work it. She had family conflicts, issues with her son that prevented her from being financially stable and possibly wealthy. And, and that didn't work out for her and it didn't work out for me. I hurt too bad to run a store. I really do. I get crabby. I can't deal with customers. I'm not capable of it like I used to be. I used to run stores. I've had 5 brick and mortar stores. I did great at it. But after this injury, and especially without good cannabis to mellow out my mood, and in Idaho, it was just really difficult to deal with. Where I'm in Maine, I can go to the dispensary, I can go to the local provider. I have a provider here or whatever. I can grow my own legally if I want. In fact, the cops even recommended it to me when they came over, and I was telling them about a situation that I was dealing with, and why I use cannabis. I was telling them it really helps my mood, it really improves my mental conditions, and I was like, but it's too expensive. I really can't go buy it. It's so expensive. And they said, well, why don't you just grow it? You've got a card, why don't you use that card and legally grow it? And so, that's always an option, but it still doesn't deal with the pain like Kratom does. It really doesn't deal with what I have going on effectively. Cannabis is good, but cannabis doesn't fix it all. Cannabis is one of my tools to deal with pain, but Kratom is my other major tool, and it is a major tool, and I recommend it to people, and I recommend people fight this. This is ridiculous. Anyway, this is Ryan from xcannabis.com. You can check us out at clovisstar.com, and also I just started up clovistribe.com. Peace out.